Secure your Elixir apps with Paraxial.io. From code analysis and bot defense to dependency checks, they've got you covered. Elixir first design with GitHub integration. Elevate your security at Paraxial.io. Testing. What's up? I'm Jacob Litzo, your Elixir mentor, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Elixir Mentor Podcast. This is where we discuss everything related to Elixir, from interviews with enthusiasts, pioneers in the community, to innovative projects and libraries shaping Elixir's future. Today, I'm welcoming Kimberly Erni, a software developer who is learning how contract-based work helps overcome burnout while balancing her tech career and personal life. Welcome, Kimberly. I feel like this is one of those subjects that isn't talked about a lot, especially in tech, because everything is a startup and everything is a grind, and we don't talk about work-life balance ever, do we?
We just burn out and then we have to live it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Do you want to just give a brief introduction of who you are, what you're up to, and kind of like just a quick little backstory?
Yeah. So I'm Kimberly Erni, and I got started coding, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago now. And I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the tech space. And like we all know, there's the ups and downs of it. And so, yeah, I just took like a good break last year when I was like going through infertility. And just, I felt like my body needed the break. I felt like if I just gave my body a break from work, that it would do it naturally. And it did. So we're pregnant. And now that I'm pregnant, I'm like still.
I need like a cheering button or something that pops up on the screen.
Yeah. So now it's still a situation where I'm wanting more flexibility and just trying to carve out a path that will work for me for the different seasons of life. So
It's pretty crazy what stress sorry, my coffee machine is turning off. It's probably noisy. It's crazy what stress can do to you, though, like across the board, up from like anxiety to, issues with fertility. And I think we forget about that a lot in the tech space. And you recently sent me a video about, I don't know, it was like a crazy percentage of how many software engineers experience like burnout, and like they don't know how to deal with it, because I think all deep down, like you don't want to let down anyone. So we want to hammer through these features and always build it and, be as smart as we want to be without like, letting people know we might not know things. So I don't know. But yeah, cumulative stress will get you. And I'm curious, I feel like you said like a year ago you took off, but you still stayed very involved in the Elixir community, because that's how I know you. And I should say, this is like, we should be doing this in person. So Kimberly is the first like Utah local person who I've actually met in real life at Elixir meetups. And so it only took, what episode is this? I think it's like episode 48 or 49, maybe 48. So it only took me 48 episodes to have a Utah local, and which is kind of surprising because we have a lot of Elixir developers here.
There's a good little tech hub here in Utah, so it's a great spot to be.
So do we want to start this off a little bit with like burnout in the tech industry, and then go into more like contract work-life balance, how you can like pull back and not be, pedal to the metal, full grind startup mode?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So I think the best way to start this, I'm gonna use my life as an example. And I was telling Kimberly before we started this, like, I don't know if I've ever publicly talked about my ups and downs in software, but I'm a self-taught programmer, and I didn't get into the space. So I'm 39, about to turn 40, and I didn't enter the tech world until I was 30. So I like kind of started self-teaching myself when I was 29, and before that I was a structural engineer by diploma, I suppose. But then I was working in manufacturing, more like mechanical and electrical engineering, and I didn't like the constraint of the brick and mortar life. I was like, I'm smart enough to work remote. I need to figure this out. I didn't like going to the office every single day. I wanted to work remote, so I was like, programming, that's the best way to do it. So I taught myself how to program. I learned Swift, and I was an iOS developer first. And at 30, my girlfriend and I at the time just basically sold everything. We were living in Wisconsin, and we went to Los Angeles to pursue her acting career. And I was like, well, it's a good tech hub, so it'll be good for me to like, jump into tech. What
Yeah.
better way than just diving in head first? So I went there just with some savings and no career path or like no job lined up. And
Yeah.
I ended up getting a job at a learn to code company called DevSlopes. And at the time, it was just one guy who made a really successful Udemy course for iOS development. And he had a Kickstarter to make this whole platform. So it was like a learn to code platform, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of involved in that community. And I ended up getting hired after a successful Kickstarter. And I was like, at that time, I think I was like making $1,000 a month or something that didn't even cover my rent. And I grinded hard because you start to realize how little you actually know the more you get into tech. And like now I feel like I don't know anything, but
Hmm.
I know enough. I at least I can build products, but there's still so much for me to know. And so I did that. And I grinded really hard for like 4 or 5 years. And then it kind of crumbled. We lost all of our money. We couldn't keep it in. Like we were kind of like chasing our tails to pay our engineers month to month, which
Wow.
sucked. So like we got in this just cycle of trying to figure out how to make money every month to pay ourselves. And then it just caught up to us, and it sucked because I had to basically fire all the developers that I worked with.
Man.
And yeah, and that puts a mental toll on you. You're like, because these are your
Yeah.
buddies, these are the only people you see day in and
Yeah.
day out. And so I had to fire everyone, and I was like the last man on the ship, kind of, that closed up everything. And DevSlopes, they're back. They're doing their own thing. I won't. I love everyone that used to be involved. There's some like new people that are kind of douchebags, but we won't get into that. But it's still around now, but it's definitely a way different company than it was. But yeah, after that, I just like didn't want to touch a computer. I was burned out. I was like, programming was not for me. Why did I do this? And I ended up moving into my sister had an RV that she went out west and lived in, and like was working at Yellowstone, and she's like, why don't you take my RV and drive into the mountains? And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. So that's what I did. I bought a really nice camera, and I was like, I'm going to become a photographer, and just like I just boondocked in this RV for about a year. And then I ended up realizing that I wasn't going to be a photographer. Like it's just not realistic to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I got back into tech, ended up working for another startup based out of Austin, which was awesome. But it allowed me to kind of, instead of like with DevSlopes, I was kind of like the VP of engineering. I was in charge of all these projects, and I just took on a lot. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just be an iOS developer and stay in my lane. And it was a lot better. Like I just did that. I got paid decent, and I just stayed in my lane. And then the entrepreneurial spark in my head came up with more business ideas, and I was like, I'm going to go out on my own and do it. And then the whole cycle continues. And so I feel like there's a constant battle of overworking yourselves and not enjoying life.
Yeah.
And because it's very easy, especially when you're sitting at a computer in your own home, to work from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed.
Right.
And if there's one thing that I learned, I make sure I get to the gym every day now and at least do something fun once a week.
Um,
So
yeah.
that's like my like little quick story, but yeah, that was my experience with just like grinding from, sun up to sundown, and then trying to hack sleep too. That was another one. I was like, how can I get less sleep?
Mhm.
Which, don't even try it, guys. Just get your 8 hours and just be efficient when you're awake. That's the trick. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you like share your experience with it and what made you want to step away and everything
Yeah.
that led up?
So it was super interesting, that podcast that I sent you, or the YouTube video that I'd sent you on burnout. As I was listening to it, I was like, oh my gosh, like a lot of this resonates, and like no wonder, like I left, and then like shortly after, like they fired like a third of the engineers or something, because like we were all just not doing well, like we weren't doing well mentally and emotionally, and like there was just a lot of like internal conflict at the company. And so it was either like they fire them or these people were going to quit. And so like, so they ended up like firing like a third of the engineers. But some of those things that resonated with me with like my experience was just like the from that podcast was like the rapidly changing scopes and timelines, being set up to fail, then being blamed for the failure, and then like just either you're set up to fail and you're blamed for the failure, or you do end up succeeding, and then all that overtime that everyone put in becomes the new expectation. And so
Right.
and granted, like I still was like a newer dev during all of this, and so like a lot of it didn't fall on me, but I was just like even just breathing the air of all of it was like hard for me, because like I
That
always felt to like perform and do more, and I like felt like I wasn't up to speed yet enough to do it all, and like we were still learning the AI tools or whatever. Like now AI can do so much for you, but
AI is very helpful, especially with tracking down bugs and writing tests. And once in a
yeah.
while, I'll have it like explain a chunk of code that I might not like fully grasp, and it's nice. I can't like I'm not totally impressed with just letting it go and write code yet, but it's like it's close.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I'm trying to. I want
it's
to like give a shout out to the video so I know what I'm. It's the healthy gamer. If you look up his YouTube channel, it's why software devs keep burning out. I think it's a really good video. It was well done.
it was
And
really well done. Yeah.
I think like I don't like I'm not I don't want to blame startups in general, because I think when you have a product, the constant like especially if you're not a sticky product, if you haven't found your niche yet, you're constantly shifting focus. It's always
Right.
the next feature is going to make you the unicorn, the next feature, the next feature. So you always have that like that
Yeah.
tension that you have to get this feature out, like because if you don't, you're the reason the product is failing.
Right.
And
Yeah,
we
and
all feel that.
that's a lot of pressure on like the
Yeah.
CEO or the president or whatever to come up with what's going to be successful. So it does make sense that they're changing it all the time, because they're trying to figure it out too. But
Yeah, finding the product fix can be hard. And I don't know. I feel like so my big problem I want to say when I first started learning Elixir, that was like 2020, 2021 now, I think. I started because wanted to build a product, and it was called Perfect Form. It was like this two-sided marketplace, which number one, hardest thing ever. So think twice before starting a marketplace because you have to onboard both sides.
yeah.
But the goal was to make like a marketplace for personal trainers to sell workouts to clients and like a way for them to interact. And I had like, this grand idea of like implementing like movement tracking and things, so you could like correct form and things like via your camera, and like it was really cool, right? And it was a good excuse to start learning Elixir, and I did. And then yeah, the grind of, do I have a good product? Is there a good fit? And then my biggest problem was like, coming from an engineer, you don't want to release anything until you overbuild it. And then so
Yeah.
you spend a year building a product without actually testing it. And that was a mistake that I learned, right? I built all this stuff under the covers that no one saw without actually getting like feedback.
Feedback.
And
Yeah.
so if there's anything I learned, now you make small products, like, and I've always known this, like MVP, get your feature list as low as you can, but you also want to get it released as fast as you can and in the hands of your potential clients, so you know if you're building the right thing.
Yeah. This is great to learn from you. I'm like, like, yes, thank you.
Oh yeah, you were talking about, you have a product that you're working on, but yeah, you want like, if there is just one feature that you need to make your product a thing, that's the one feature you want to make work, and forget about all the other lists of features. Cause like we all are like, oh, and then it should do this, and then it should do this. No, the
Yeah.
smallest amount of features you need to sell your product. That's what you want.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
And then
Yeah.
it's just fast iterations, right? Like you want it launched and out the door and in the hands. Like maybe it's a free trial, maybe it's just testers, but you want that feedback loop
Mhm.
before you even start adding features.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
I have gained some wisdom in my almost 40 years of life. Some, but not much.
Yeah, please impart it all.
But yeah, but just like the whole dynamic of how startups are, like whenever you're applying to jobs too, and like, they try to like make it sound like they're fun and exciting. And they'll be like, oh yeah, we're just like a fast-paced moving company, like blah blah blah, like, so you're unorganized, you don't really know where your product fit is yet, and I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna either get gray hair or lose hair,
Yeah.
working hair.
And I think that's why, because so I studied human development and family life, and in those classes, like some of the best things I learned is that for for you to thrive in a family, you need like authoritative parenting, which isn't like the authoritarian, which like just gives you all like authoritarian, like tells everyone what to do, and like they, it's there's like high structure but not a lot of love. And then permissive is just like, oh yeah, go do whatever. But authoritative is like high structure and high love. And like to thrive in a company, I think you need the same thing, like high structure, and then like just like a lot of security and a lot of like love, that like we want to grow you here. But I feel like sometimes a startup struggles with either, because it's like they're not making money yet, so they don't really want to like level you up and pay you more or whatever,
Hmm.
like because their product's still not still not successful. So you're like, am I growing, am I not, because I haven't gotten a pay raise. And then you learn like that, like a lot of the people like had to, I don't know, my boss was saying that he like threatened to quit his job to get a pay raise for one of the guys under us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that and but then at the same time, I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense because we're not making money off the product yet, so I can see
Yeah.
why they're not wanting to. And then like they're not really able to have that high structure in place, because that's just kind of where they're at. They're just kind of figuring things out, and like, so you kind of get neither.
Yeah, it's hard to
You get
shift.
like the chaotic, like you get chaos.
Yeah,
Right?
you get chaos. It's hard to make that shift from that chaos mode to a structured company.
Yeah.
And you need it. Like you need to have like the insight, because like, don't get me wrong, like being part of the chaos is, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun until you're burned out and you can't do it anymore. And like that YouTube video we keep referencing, by the healthy gamer, it puts like a good light on it, because a lot of times you won't even realize what you're like the detriment you're doing to your own health, like because you're just putting in longer hours, getting things done, and then you get into this like weird funk where you start replacing important tasks with more like just like busy work. And I was like,
Yeah.
I do that. Like it's so bad. Like I used to, well, before I started the Elixir Mentor podcast, I did a Big App Energy podcast, and I did the same thing. I would edit them, and that would be my busy work, right? And it would keep me busy all freaking day, but I didn't accomplish anything. And I was like, this, I can't do this. Like you like wear yourself out without actually like stepping forward with what you need to work on,
Right.
and that's why the live stream's amazing because I don't edit anything.
That's awesome.
What's
That's
out
really
because otherwise you take hours, like an hour and a half conversation will, even if you're like fast at editing, it at least takes you an hour and a half to edit.
yeah. No, I learned that too. I run a podcast for the women in my neighborhood for us to get to know each other.
Nice.
Like so many of us here, and we like don't know each other. But I got burned out pretty quick editing all the videos, so I'll have to learn from you.
You do them live, and people
Yeah.
are more understanding too if things aren't perfect. You have like longer pauses and things. Like it's live, guys. They
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I feel like there's a little more understanding to it. And it allows us to talk to people. Like, so Mike just goes, it's called feature creep. And yeah, yeah. So like when you're building a project, obviously you want all the features in it. And then, but you got to have that hard line, that hard no. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Over organized. You can have all the features planned, but um, don't start sharing them with the team until you're actually ready to implement and test them.
Totally. Yeah.
Another interesting thing too in like the startup world, I think we've all gotten used to remote work, right? And the boundaries. I actually, it's hard. Like, how often are you always available? Because I get Slack messages on my phone, I get them on my computer, I get them no matter what I'm doing. So it's like hard to turn those off and not instantly reply. And I think it's also hard to respect people's boundaries when you like want to know something that they're working on or something they can help you with. And that becomes difficult because we all work from home. One of my biggest problems, I'm doing it right now, but my desk is in my living room. And I think it's like one of the worst things ever to do because if you want to relax and watch a movie, you're always staring at your workspace. So you
Yeah.
actually never leave your workspace. So you're always like,
Yeah.
what do I need to work on? And
Yeah.
so I'm going against my own advice here. But if you can, always have a separate workspace because you need to be able to shut a door. One, when you enter it for focus, and then when you leave, you can shut that door and leave it in that room.
Yeah, that's probably really true. I need to be better about that too, because I'm like, I just like to be like comfy. And so I have a setup that like can like get me to like a comfy spot and like just feel comfortable. But then yeah, but then that comfy spot, I'm like, well now I like now this comfy spot's ruined for me. I need to go somewhere else to relax. Like
No, yeah, exactly. You got it. Well, and
yeah.
okay, you're still young, but from my if you if you're not ergonomic as you get older, you'll start like I've had disc issues, like I've
Oh
extruded
really?
discs in my neck and stuff,
Yeah.
and I had to like stand up for 6 months, and I couldn't sit down or
Oh
relax or be
God.
comfortable, but I became so aware of my posture because I used
Yeah.
to just like laptop in my lap, like slouch over, like
Yeah.
so bad. Don't do that. Advice from me, don't do that because it catches up to you. And like basically an MRI, like my doctor's like, yeah, your neck is effed, dude. You have to be very careful. So
Oh gosh.
yeah. So stand and sit, but have good posture when you work, Kim. It's important.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Everything needs to be in alignment. I think desk jobs are actually probably the most unhealthy jobs we can have. And a lot of people have them.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. You were saying that like you were just talking about how like I stayed involved like even when I had quit.
Hmm.
And I think that was else. It was like I had quit and I knew that I needed this like break, but at the same time I felt like I just had this like almost just guilt that I wasn't doing enough for like our family. I was like, I I I I'm taking this break because I feel like we need it. Like I feel like I need it, but I felt like it was hard for me to give myself permission to even break, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, oh, like I felt like I needed to find something again, but I didn't really want to, but I felt like I should. And anyways, but it was interesting because like once I finally really did feel ready, and I remember it took like 7 or 8 months, and I was like, hey, like I feel ready to go back to work. And I think that's when I went to the meetups with you and met you there. And like I just started going to things. And I was like, I'm like serious. I'm gonna go find a job. And that was the month that we got pregnant. It was when I finally was like healed from it all. Like I was healed from it all
Yeah.
and was like ready. And then I just wanted to share about how I kind of like decided contract was like kind of a better route for me. Cause I think I did interview with the company you're with. And like, I actually think we're still just kind of on pause with that interview. I think it just like kind of got dropped off. But while I was
I'm
interviewing
not
with,
very familiar, so I don't know. I could find out for you.
I know I like so while I was in the middle of interviewing with you guys, this other company was like, we want to give you a trial run with our company, and so they gave me a trial run, and I think I'd been on Mark Erickson's podcast and like kind of shared about how I was looking for a job, and he reached out to me after that, and so anyway, so at that point I was 7 weeks pregnant, and I was not doing well. like most of the people who listen to your podcast probably have never been pregnant, but like I didn't know how hard pregnancy was until I went through
I think
pregnancy.
I have like 2% female listeners, so I don't think many of them
Yeah,
have been pregnant.
like it is so hard. And so by the end of the week, like I was like, well, like this is like as much as like, I was able to function and do. And like anyways, they had decided they didn't want to bring me on. And I was like, that's like totally fine, but like let me finish the work for you guys, because like you're paying me $2,000 for like nothing this week. And like let me finish it for you guys. And they were like, well, we want to pay you and finish it. And so anyways, we kind of like worked out a middle ground with where I was like health wise to get it done, and kind of more ended up charging for just getting the job done. And that's when I was like, hey, I feel like contract work is like a really good spot for me. Like I really enjoyed just being able to like, for that project, it was low priority. And so low priority took a lot of that stress off me of having to like get it done like right away. Cause I was like, hey, this is low priority. And I was able to kind of get it done when I felt well. Now I'm
Hmm.
in my second and I feel good.
That's good. That's good.
Second trimester is so much better than first trimester. But and then I was gonna say another company reached out to me, and what I really liked about them just yesterday is like, so they asked me like how much I would expect for this contract position, and like someone on Bruce Tate runs a meetup for people who are underrepresented in the community, and someone at that meetup told me that like you always like first ask them what they're willing to pay you before you undersell yourself. And so
Hmm.
I would want to like pay you X amount for X number of hours, and then that to me like mentally gives me the flexibility to be like, hey, like they're expecting to pay me about this much, and like
Hmm.
if I have to go over that or whatever, like I just like I know that this is kind of what they've gauged the job should cost them. And so then I can just charge for what they expect, without underselling myself too. So yeah, so that's something that I kind of like was grateful for and learned from them. And then my brother, I was talking to him about contract work, and he said you always collect the first half before you do it, and that way you're committed and they're committed.
Mm.
And yeah, so anyways, that's kind of the things that I've learned so far with my contract journey. I've kept myself as like open to work on LinkedIn, and then have made it like very clear what I'm looking for, so that
Hmm.
people don't come to my page and are like, oh, she wants a full-time gig, when like really I really want some part-time stuff. And that's why I'm always like open to work, is because I'm
Which
like,
is, it's a hard
yeah,
situation to be in because people either they want full-time developers, or
yeah,
even if it is contract, they want the capacity of a full-time developer. So it's
that's
a
true.
It's hard to
That's
balance.
true.
But
But I will say right now for me it's a good fit because like I don't have kids yet, and like I can do like a 2 week sprint of like a full time developer, and
yeah.
then I'm not hitting like the burnout of like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant and I'm taking on like this full time thing for like ever. It's like, hey, this is 2 weeks, then I can break. Like,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
before my current role where I am, I was basically like a consultancy. Me and my buddy, we did, full blown projects for whoever. Uh, it was stressful. It was very hard. When we first started it, we got a lot of work right out of the door. And
yeah,
then like I realized I'm not good at selling things that I build or selling my services. It got hard. And it's just
yeah,
like one of those things. I feel like you can get in a good pace, but I also just have to know like, look, I'm a builder. I need someone else to represent the things that I sell.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think like contract, it's nice to have the freedom, right? Because you can take on as much work as you can handle. And then you can also have breaks in between jobs if you need them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
So
I
yeah,
like everyone's situation is a little different. Like
yeah,
you're about to have a baby, right? And I feel like being a full-time mom is like super important. So you're probably going to want more breaks or less hours of your day ever taken up by work. So I think it's a good balance.
and that's where like the ultimate goal is like that's something else I was gonna say is when that first contract job ended, my friend reached out to me that same day and she's like, Kim, like I think your idea that you have for an app is like really good, and she's like, I want to do the UX for it. And so like that was like really cool to like I talked to her about it like a while back, and like to have her reach out to me and be like she was like my missing piece, like
Yeah.
to get done what I needed to get done. And I'm like, I'm totally willing to like, split things whatever way makes sense to, have that missing piece on board to, make something come to life. And I'm like, if I can create my own thing, then that like, and oh, that's something else I was going to share is I have a friend who that's what she's doing for women right now is she teaches them how to code, and then she teaches them how to build their own apps. And like how many women actually like go and full on do it, I don't know, a few
Yeah.
people. Because I mean I feel like for me I'm like I kind of needed that like 2.5 years like full time in it to learn, but
Yeah.
I don't know how she's doing it, um but I'm like it could be a really good thing for moms, because especially moms who like feel like I feel that it's important to be there when they're young, um and so
There
it
are
could be
other options other than being a social media influencer.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
why you have all these women on social media.
Right.
We sell all the things that our husbands make, and then
There we go. Yep.
yeah.
For sure. That's funny. I didn't even think about that. I was like, yeah, they're peddling their husband's products. There is something to be said though about having your own product and having a successful product. Like it's really cool when you can take idea and build it. I think that's one of the most appealing things to me when like I started learning how to program to like, and I struggle. I'm not a big front end dev, but
Yeah,
now with the help of like Claude, I can get together pretty decent front ends and like
yeah,
not worry too much about the tailwind side of things. Like Claude just helps me. I'll just tell them the changes that I want. And then I
yeah.
can do all the heavy back end lifting where my strengths are, and I can still fully produce my own product.
Right, right. Yeah,
So
yeah. I'm
I think
excited.
it's
I'm
cool.
excited to give it a try. It's like I don't know how soon you share what your ideas are, so maybe I don't share. But it's like
I'm a
something that
believer in don't be scared. No one's going to steal your idea. Put it out there. It makes you accountable. And
okay.
it might like you could get live feedback if people actually think it's a good idea.
Yeah, so the idea is so I am like I'm super into crocheting, and I like crochet like all these little stuffed animals for my nieces and nephews. And the crochet world's actually like a pretty big world. There's a pretty big world of crochet people. Um
Everyone
and
needs a hobby. You know?
yeah, it's a great hobby. And people buy like patterns, like each pattern I buy is like $6 or whatever. Um and I finally did find one app that's kind of doing what I want to do it, but they only have like 15 patterns on it. So I'm like, I don't think there's like a huge competition out there yet. And I'm like, I feel like I actually am pretty good at like, reaching out and like making relationships with people. So I'm like, if I could get like some of these crochet designers to like put their products on my app, and then anyways, like, and then build it in a way that like, because right now they're all still on a PDF. Like that's the main way that people sell their products is on like a PDF. And in the app that I've like thought up and that I found someone do something similar to, it just makes it like easier to go through the pattern. So yeah,
So I'm not a crocheter, but it sounds like you did a great job niching down too. You know, they always say niche down as low as you can until you hit the like go as small as you can. And you're in a great state to like launch that app locally and like slowly expand your market, because you can pretty much go knock on your neighbors' doors and talk to all the wives and get them to download your app.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like hoping and like hearing my friend like message me at, it was like kind of like a low moment because I was like hoping they'd keep me on for contract work, but because I was like, this works great for me, like like this works great for me. I was like, I took as much time as I wanted to, and like, but they're like, no, we need you to deliver faster, you know. And so it was kind of like a low moment for me where I was like, oh dang, like they don't want to keep me on right now. And then she messaged me, or she like called me like just like an hour later and was like, I really want to do that with you. And I'm like, okay, like this is like the next thing
That's
for
awesome.
me to go do. So yeah.
Yeah, having that first like confirmation too, like
Yes.
an outside person that didn't come up with the idea, because it's really
Yeah.
easy to come up with your own idea and think it's the best thing ever, and you're not going to have the reality check fast enough to not waste your time, right?
Yeah, it's fun. I should also give her a shout out. Her name's Pepe, and she's a UX designer, and she's like her portfolio is really good. And anyways, she is looking for work. So anyone listening, if you want to look up Pepe Wang, Pei on LinkedIn, Wang, Wang, she's awesome and she's super great to work with. So
Awesome.
giving her a shout out.
Yeah, finding good designers is never easy, so there you go.
Yeah, she's awesome.
And then does she specialize in like UI UX, like apps specifically, or?
Yeah, she's done mobile apps.
Okay.
I think she'd be fine to like try other things, but she has done mobile.
Nice. So have you thought about your tech stack?
Okay, maybe I should ask you about that because I was just like I said, I've been learning from Mark Erickson a little bit. He has like this marriage and family app that is super awesome that I've been.
By the way, you guys should know him, Thinking Elixir, and he's also another Utah local, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, you should have him on and talk about his marriage app, but it's like really cool, and that's like my background's human development and family life, and like honestly, one day I kind of have a desire to go back to school for marriage and family therapy down the road. So his app's like right up my alley. But he has that app, and he's been doing it in Phoenix Live View. So I've been wanting to like learn as much as I can from him with his app so that, you know, I can do the same. But if you have other thoughts, I have not started writing it, so I'm open to other thoughts.
It's hard. I'm always back and forth because I believe, especially like when you're bootstrapping and building your own thing, the less code bases that you have, the better, right? And mobile, you instantly need Android and you need iOS, right? So I don't know, like React Native or like Vue is always a good option. And I don't know, it's a tough one. But then like part of me wants to stay native so you can like be more like device specific. It's always hard, but the back end's easy.
Yeah.
Just use Elixir, Phoenix, and Postgres. Problem solved.
So what are your thoughts on using Live View for like, because Mark uses Live View for his native app.
Okay.
and he found
Is
a
he
way to
using Dockyard's the Live View native stuff or not?
probably, I bet he is.
I haven't played around with it enough, but like the demos that I've seen Brian do, it looks
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So like if that works, heck yeah,
Okay.
because you already know Elixir, so you might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have him as a resource to like learn from, like as I help him, he'll help me a little bit too, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like maybe it'd be, but yeah.
And I feel like, Mark probably went through the pros and cons. You should talk to him about it.
Yeah, I should. I really should.
I would see if he has any like setbacks because he's using Live View Native or whatever he's using. I'd be really curious. I do need to have him on, but he's a busy man. I don't want to like pester him too much, you know?
Well, here's what you could do. You guys could do like a combined podcast, like his podcast and your podcast together.
There we go. Together. Yeah. Thinking Elixir with Elixir Mentor.
Yeah. Have each other on as a guest the same week.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I feel like like all the other big podcasts, we have like Beam Op, which is Bruce Tate's, and Alex Kotmos. I've had both of them on. I had Owen. Dude, I always blank on people's names when I'm like trying to give shout outs. Owen Binkfield. I need to cheat. But he's from what podcast does he do? Now I'm blanking on that. Owen Bickford. See, I almost had it. I knew I was close. And he does the Elixir Wizards podcast. So I feel like those three are the ones that I listened to a lot when I was like learning Elixir, because you learn like they're smart guys.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think there's a talk on Elixir Conf about native. I'm sure there is. Brian, I feel like the Dockyard team is really good about promoting their products. Let's see. Live View Native Conf Talk. Oh, he just did one in January. Or it was posted in January. He did it at the Lisbon conference. But I think it's worth checking out. I would probably check it out and use it if I wanted to make a mobile app today, because I don't like leaving my Elixir space. Elixir makes me happy, and like writing JavaScript and other things, not so much.
I know. I'm like, maybe I'm happy to learn another thing, but at the same time, like if I could just stick here, like it'd be nice.
Yeah. Is your only background Elixir, or have you learned other?
Just Elixir.
Okay.
Yeah, I like graduated family life, and then my dad and brother are both in the tech space. Well, I mean, my dad's not in the tech space; he's just a hobbyist. But
your dad is a pretty cool dude.
Yeah,
he's like an inventor. Like, dude has like so many patents and projects. So like, I got to meet her dad as well at one of the Elixir meetups, and he was just telling me about some of his inventions, and it's really cool.
Yeah, he's a doctor and inventor. He loves to code. He just has a lot of passions. And like when you're like, okay, like I am at a place where I kind of have a career. Like, do I want to go back to school? Like, or should I, so that's kind of why I started with, I toggled between going back to marriage and family therapy school or doing Elixir, or like some kind of coding path. And I talked with like my dad and brother, and they were like, learn Elixir, like it's a good language. And I learned Elixir, and like I got a job with it. Like, I got a job with it. And so I was like, well, I'll take this path and see where it leads me. And so, yeah, here we are.
That's wild. And you did Bruce Tate. You learned through Groxio, right?
Yeah.
He has like a little boot camp.
And he does have a little camp that he let me come to. I was so new that I probably didn't get much out of it though. And then we meet up, like a weekly mentorship for people. And I'd say that was really helpful in helping me get my first job, because like they helped me, like the code. This is before AI and everything, but they helped me like when I was given that first code assignment to see if I could do the job for this company. They were who like helped me through some of it. So they
That's
were like,
nice.
they were a great support. So
Dude,
yeah,
Bruce and Maggie are awesome people.
they really are.
Yeah.
They're like they're just such good, kind hearted, have their hearts in the right place people. So
Yeah, for sure. And they like boats. Like you can't go wrong.
yeah, 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 it's cool. They're great loop or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I've started reading that. Unfortunately, like reading for fun always gets put on the sideline for me. And I like
Yeah.
that's one thing I want to change because I'm like so bad. All I do is read technical books. And like I wonder why I fall asleep when I try to read these things before bed and I only get like a paragraph in. It's because I of my reading material. But I need to work on reading more entertainment instead of just always trying to learn.
Yeah.
I think that's another like mental fatigue, right? If you're just always trying to learn, like you kind of you overdo it, and then I feel like it's more detrimental because you actually are just reading words at that point, or
Yeah.
you're just overfilling it and you're not absorbing anything. Like what you were saying, like you think you were a little too new when you first took his like boot camp. And I think there's like a lot of truth to things like that. Cause if you're overwhelmed and you can't actually understand what you're learning, you're just kind of wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah. He was really good though about like pointing out my strengths in the boot camp, even though like I didn't have much yet. He was like, really good at pair programming because you're really good at XYZ or whatever. And I was like, okay, like he like believes in me. This is good.
Hey, you need like having positive people like that though, that kind of like spin when you're only concentrating on the negatives. That like so helpful. Cause
It is helpful because I'm like, what am I doing here? Like,
I feel like on a weekly basis, there's some moment where like, dude, why am I a programmer? Do I even know how to do this? Like, so you always
yeah,
need that positive voice in your life. I'll be like, you got
yeah,
this.
yes. Well, and I feel like your podcast probably is a form to like help you, remember all the pros of what you're doing. So
It is. It also just helps me stay informed because now I feel like I don't have to know what's going on in the community. I just have to have people that are doing cool things and then they tell me about it.
yeah, yeah,
And
no,
then
for
I
sure.
just ask dumb questions during the interview and it's great. Like
Yeah, no,
well,
that's awesome. And it's like, and like with being as social as you are, it's like a little social outlet too. To
this is as
yeah.
social as I get and then it's back to my cave, you know?
Oh, that's true. I guess you seem social because you do this, but maybe.
There's a fine line. Like I enjoy socializing until I don't, and then I'm just like, time to retreat.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
turn it on. And like now I want to like reach back out to Brian and have him back on because we should
Yeah.
talk about live view. Because I feel like last time he was on live view, I feel like maybe like the .1 or something. Like it was just barely released, and I feel like it's probably in a lot better place now.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask him if I should build my app in live view or not.
Oh, he's gonna say yes, 100%. And maybe if Brian's listening, he'll jump in. I feel he drops in from time to time, but yeah, we'll figure it out.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
honestly, you could even start with just building like mobile first web too, and
Yeah.
worry about an app later. I don't know. It depends on what your overall like needs are of an app. Like, is it
Yeah.
just for viewing and purchasing?
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like I'd want it in mobile, but
But is that just because, or do you have restraints that make you need the app?
that's a good question. I feel like because I feel like I feel like I'd want them to have like a designated spot on their, like a designated spot to go and have all their patterns that they've purchased be like right there. But I mean,
Hmm.
I guess type in the address every time and
But you can also do a PWA.
yeah, okay, so that is what Mark is doing.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense. So that allows you to avoid the App Store and Apple's like 20 or 30% cut too.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yep. That's what Mark's doing. He's doing a PWA. What does that stand for?
Progressive web application.
Okay. Progressive web application. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, you're building a web app that is just performant for mobile, and it allows you to create a shortcut from your web browser, and then it looks like an app on your phone.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I was doing with Perfect Form because yeah, we didn't want to deal with like app store rules and regulations, and Apple does a lot to make it hard, but I
Yeah.
think it's worth the trade-offs. Like this might have changed. I haven't looked into this for like a couple years, but like push notifications is a difficult thing with PWAs, and so you kind of have to like be creative with like you can do SMS or emails, and there's like other ways you can do it, but like Android lets you do everything, so you're like a lot less restricted in the Android world with a PWA, and then Apple just always wants to control you and take your money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So do you feel like, because that's something that we, like me and my friend are trying to decide, is whether a PWA like Mark did is good, or the app. And so you'd say start with a PWA, or what would be your advice?
I would start with a PWA, and then if there's
Okay.
like specific things that you need to leverage on a native app, that's when like, and then hopefully you already have revenue rolling in and you already have a user base, and
Yeah.
then you can start building apps that you actually need, but you might not ever need it because if you think about it, a lot of apps you don't need the latest and greatest tech that's on the phone unless you're doing like AR stuff or
Yeah.
very graphics heavy things, but you're essentially
Yeah.
reading blueprints, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm guessing like I don't know what um a pattern. I'm guessing a pattern is like a very simple document, right?
Yeah, it's like a simple document, but it's like here's the arm for the thing, here's, or like the whole body has a head and a arms and the different parts of it, so they like click in on different parts and like scroll
Okay.
through it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But for the most part, like
And
you're
then
just looking at very simple images.
um it like shows the like it shows each row of the pattern, and so you'd want it
Yeah.
to like
Okay.
go down the
I mean,
row and
that
like
would be
have
cool.
that.
I think like a PWA works well, right? Because then like if people put it on a tablet too for a larger screen, they have it.
Okay.
And then you
Yeah.
also just like you're built in, you already have your web app.
Yeah.
So like you kind of build like one code base, you know, especially you're the sole developer, you'll be grateful you made that decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So maybe with a PWA.
Just
And
like
then you
think
always,
about like especially with UX, just think about the limitations that you have and how to solve them before you're like
okay.
in the weeds. Like and honestly, just off the top of my head, it would just be like push notifications for Apple might be your hardest thing, but I feel like they might have opened up their API. I don't know. I'm just like making things up. I don't know if I actually heard that or if I am just dreaming about it, but
Yeah. The other thing is like how sellable is it if it's a PWA? Because like I get all my apps with the App Store. I'm not like PWA.
so it is harder because a lot of people they don't understand PWAs, especially like
Yeah.
take your normal non-technical like mom or crocheter. Like, yeah, these are like hobbyists. So you have like little old ladies that are going to be using it. So
Yeah.
as long as you have like so if they open your app in the browser on their phone, if you have like a good like hey long hold this and say add to my screen or whatever and have good onboarding that coaches them, I think it'll be good, right? You just have to think about your onboarding and how you educate people how a PWA works.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. Yeah. And then the other thing is like it's not on the App Store, so it's not like crocheters will look it up and be like, here's, it's like I'd have to do all my marketing through.
Well, I
through
hate to break it to you, even if it's in the App Store, you have to do all your marketing. Like it's very rare. It's very rare you're going to be featured on the App Store. It's just
Yeah.
not a likely thing, right? Because I don't even, how many apps, how, how many apps are on the Apple App Store? Let's see. Claude, you're very slow. Okay, so as of October 2024, there are approximately 1.6 to 1.8 million available apps. And then, so what's the featured page? Like top 20? You might be top 50 if you're lucky. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that beneficial. And obviously, in your category, you can get in the top area pretty easily, especially, I don't know if crochet is a category, but it maybe
Yeah.
hobbies or,
I did not find very many apps on it, to be honest. I was like, oh wow, there's like not a
yeah.
ton out here for it. But
So like your best bet would probably be concentrate on like SEO, maybe write a blog and have that all on your website, and then have your app, your PWA.
yeah. Okay.
Because
Yeah.
marketing is the hardest part. Like I said at the very beginning, like I'm really good at building products, and then when I have to sell it, it's the hardest thing in the world. So like I always tell people, building the product's the easy part. Getting people to use your product is the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, the easy part is building it, and then the hard part begins when you need people to use it.
yeah. Hmm.
Start with your neighbors. You already have a neighborhood podcast.
So true.
That's perfect. And then being published on built-in Elixir platforms, that won't help you much because I'm guessing a lot of people interested in Elixir aren't crocheters.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably true. Maybe all their wives.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, I think start as simple as possible. So I would definitely just worry about web.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good advice. Okay. I appreciate that.
I mean, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't know. I like simplicity of life. Being in and out of different code bases is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And honestly, I don't know. I'm probably gonna just get yelled at later for saying something wrong. But you could create kind of like an umbrella project and have like everything kind of separated. So you have your web interface, which would just be your website application as a single project, your backend API as a single project, and then your live view native as a single project, but all under one umbrella.
Hmm.
And then you kind of have a single code base, but you still have your separated projects that
Yeah.
kind of live in their own environment. And that would probably be the best way to structure it.
Okay. Wait, so you said and then the native part, so if it eventually does go native, then I'd have that there too. Is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, like it would be like live view native at that point, right? So, oh, but if you go PWA, that would be a different story. But yeah, having it all separated just keeps your code bases cleaner. And then if you do rip them out into separate repositories, they're already separated and they don't really depend on each other.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah.
It sounds like Mark is going to be your best bet, though, to talk to. I'd be curious what he's. Can you? Now I'm curious. Phoenix Live View. Let's see. I'm seeing if you can build a PWA with Live View.
A PWA with live view?
Yeah.
I think that's what his app does.
Do you know what he's using? Let's see. PWA Live View is a demo. Yeah, so it seems like it's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I would start.
Okay. Yeah, I think I will.
See, easy. Now you have to do the easy part of building it.
And then the hard part of marketing it. Yeah.
Exactly. Is
Yeah.
your designer, is she also good at marketing?
I think she could be. She's just like a spunky, cute girl. I think we'll do well together to try to monetize it. So
I
yeah.
think that's awesome. And yeah, like bootstrapping an app and staying in control of things is so important as well. I feel like people that go after investor money too soon, especially, they just lose control of what their product is actually going to be too. So I'm all about bootstrapping.
I actually had reached out to like the guy that I like. This was like back when I was not doing well as well. I was like, I just quit my job and I was like, maybe I'll do my crochet app right now. And I used to nanny for this guy who like I think like Divvy, Alex Bean like left, and anyways, he started
Yeah.
anyways to invest in other companies. And so I reached out. I was like, I used to nanny for this family, and I like reached out to him and was like, hey, like what do you think about investing in my crochet app? And he like talks to my sister who was then nannying for me. He's like, is your sister okay? Like, why would she reach out to me about building a crochet app? And I was like, oh gosh, like I guess I went to the wrong person. Like I guess they do way bigger things than this. Like he is not interested. Like
I think like, well, the important thing to remember is like everyone thinks that just that great idea is going to be invested, which is rarely the case, right? Like you
yeah,
normally already have to have like active users and some money rolling in. And
yeah,
so like my view on it though is once you have that money rolling in, why wouldn't you just keep grinding and building and keep it your own product?
yeah. Oh yeah, because that is true. Because once you do work with, I was with crew banking, and they're using my like neighbor for investing, and they were like saying how they're having to like work with him to figure out like what their products, they're like have to get everything
Yeah.
approved
Yeah, they
before they.
start controlling your features, how you spend your
Yeah,
money, who you hire and fire,
yeah,
and it kind of like ends up tying your hands. And I think
to
I
the
don't
invest.
know.
Yeah,
If you can avoid it as much as you can, but there are circumstances where you just need the cash flow. Like especially when you're talking about like marketplaces that can't be profitable until you have, you know, 100,000 users. Like it makes it, I don't know. There's circumstances where pumping money in makes sense, but if you don't need to do that, avoid it.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, being a product owner, you know, you're going to work more than less though.
yeah, yeah. But at least you can like at least you can say like this is what works for me today.
That's true.
And
That
do what
is
works
true.
that day. Because
Yeah, if you
I don't
need
know,
a
I
random,
take my hands into something I really shouldn't, but like I really want, like I really like I'm just like a believer in motherhood, and I believe that like those little kids need to feel like they're the most important thing. And so I'm hoping that I'm hoping that this can become something where I can do it
for
and it like
sure.
brings me energy, and I can also like help those kids feel that like, they're like the most important thing to me
Well,
at those young.
like being an adult now, I'm like so incredibly grateful that I had a stay-at-home mom. Like you don't
Yeah.
realize how awesome that is until like, you know, hindsight, obviously, but it's so
Yeah.
important, I think.
Well, it is for like I was studying it because like I studied human development, and I was studying like, from the research wise, like I already feel that way, but like what does the research have to say? And I found a lady named Erica Comazar, and then one of my old professors who've done like research on like children, and it's important for their attachment security. Like they develop like a secure attachment, which helps them, like it makes them more resilient to like mental illness later on in life, because it's like a lot of mental illness comes from like insecure,
Oh
like
shoot,
avoid.
it didn't help me. No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
but I think in general, like our generations had to learn how to deal with tech, and I think that also brought anxiety. So
Y-
like
y- Yeah, yes and no. I think like being a kid now is would be hard
yeah,
because I'm like so grateful. Like, yeah, we had screens, but it was different. Well, like
yeah,
I don't know, because I feel like at least me, I grew up through the era of no screens to screens. Like, I remember when the first Nintendo, like that was the most exciting thing ever, right? And so
Yeah.
like I have a lot of space in my life without that, and then like
Yeah.
it slowly got integrated, so I still wanted to get outside and play, and I feel like the screen addiction thing was still a thing, but we weren't aware of it, and it was like less of a problem because it didn't start consuming us at like 2 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. That scares me because I don't know what the right answer is, because you want your kids to be capable in tech, but there's also needs to be a fine line of like not too much.
Yeah.
And who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know what the right answer
How,
is.
I think like looking at how much like what you're doing on it too, like because I think there are a lot of things that like honestly like you code all day for your job and like it's I mean maybe it's unhealthy, I don't know, but
No, it's definitely unhealthy.
yeah, probably. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the solution is either. But like looking at what they're doing, because I know there's like sometimes social media can cause like comparison or whatever, and like so that's like not super healthy to
I
have
know.
it.
I get really bummed when I don't have a helicopter and people I follow have helicopters. You know, it's
Yeah,
hard.
there we go.
But yeah, I don't. Uh-oh. I lost your video. Refresh. Maybe I lost. Oh, there you are. I don't hear you. Let me see what's going on. There you are.
Okay, can you hear me again?
Yep, you're back.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, tech and you know,
It's definitely
tech with
unhealthy.
kids.
Well, like I don't ever, so like I'm on a computer all day, right? But I don't do anything, like my computer is my work computer, and I like
Yeah.
not like it belongs to my work, but it's only for work. And so I never do anything fun on it, and I think that's like a good like
Yes.
divider in
Boundary.
life too. Yeah, like
Yes.
I'm on my computer to work. I'm not going to like go browse social media on it or watch a movie or binge on YouTube. Like it's just for work. Like,
Yeah.
and that's been a like ever since I started programming, that's always been like a boundary that I've made, and I think it's like it's pretty helpful.
Yeah. No, that is true. I think that's a good boundary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my boring little box, and I can't do anything. I can't do anything fun on it. And if I want to do something fun, I have to close that box and go outside and do something fun. But yeah, I think especially like as programmers, it's hard to step away from your screen because
um,
like whatever company you're at, even if you're doing your own thing, there's always fires and you always feel like you have to get your work done. And like, I don't know, like I always have this like weird guilt hanging over my head that if I'm not working, I'm like somehow lazy. Like, even if it's like I'm not working for like an hour of the day, like
yeah.
it's weird. It's not healthy.
It's like I think actually like is a lot of what I went through when I like quit my job was like like they say there's different degrees of burnout, and I think like third degree is like redefining who you even are. Like and I think I hit like a little bit of that where I was like what even value do I bring to this world? Like I'm not bringing like I'm not doing this, and now I'm not doing this, and now I'm not bringing money, and I don't have children. It's like, and I had to kind of like redefine like what success means. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like that's like because I was like I'd sit there and I like crochet, and I like felt bad like spending my day crocheting.
Yeah,
I was
like doing something you enjoy, right? Like it's weird.
yeah, I'm not like being productive for our family. I'm not making money for our family, which like I mean there is truth to like it being good to do that for your family, but at the same
Right.
time like I don't know.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's like when I moved into an RV, right? I did a 180 where I only started doing things that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like it was hiking, camping, taking pictures, but I wasn't making money. I was living off my savings at that point. I mean, I was
Yeah.
living very cheaply, but like and then I went through this whole wave as like, oh, money's not that important, just make enough to get by. But then like the problem is I have a lot of very expensive hobbies that I like to do. So it turns out money is pretty important. And it's good for your brain to do hard things. And that is one thing like programming, you're solving new problems every day in like some creative fashion. And I think the hard part is to think or the lie we tell ourselves is we can always be turned on and we are
Yeah.
always going to be that super awesome problem solver. But in
Yeah.
reality, problem solving is kind of a creative work. And you're
Yeah.
not always going to be in that creative mode. And the second you see yourself like doing silly small tasks to distract you, it's probably time to take a break and get away from
Yeah.
things and come
Yeah.
back to it. Because like I'm sure a lot of people are guilty of this, where like you'll just like pound through it and still work even though you're not doing good work when really you got to just step away and take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's yeah, that is really true. And I think that's true. I think we don't give ourselves permission to take that break sometimes when
Yeah.
in reality probably the thing that you need to go back and solve the problem that you're
Yeah.
you're working on. Just like let your brain go away. It'll probably come back and like you'll you'll be able to solve it. So or
Yeah.
you
And
know,
then
or,
like the comparison thing, like even with social media, you'll compare yourself to other smart people, be like, well, this person can do this like so much faster than me. And like at the end of the day, can they? Or maybe they're only good at that one thing and you're better at this one thing. And like that's
yeah.
stop comparing because it's just gonna
It's
beat
so
yourself
true.
up.
It's so true. It's like so someone says like comparison's the thief of joy, and it really is because like there's just so many lies in it. Like it's like comparison's just not even true because it's like you literally like you're your own person, and so you
Hmm.
can't compare. Like you can't compare like all the different opportunities that you were even given to get to the point where you're at to someone
Yeah.
else's like
Well,
or like their genetic or like whatever like there's just no way to actually compare you to, so like why do we do it to ourselves, but we do.
yeah.
Like,
Well, like the guys that I work with are so dang smart and they're like so impressive. But then when we talk about like our backgrounds and where we came from, like it's crazy how different we are and how many different things we all know and don't know.
yeah,
Like it's wild.
yeah, it is so true. Yeah, yeah, it really is true.
And then the more you know you don't know, and the cycle just continues. Like every day I learn something new, and then every day I realize, wow, there's so much I need to learn. And then you put that weird pressure on
Yeah,
yourself to try to learn it all, and they're like, dude, you're not gonna. Not
yeah.
till you experience it
I
and have
think
to work through it.
learning's a humbling experience for sure because
It really is.
you you realize how little we are compared to all there is out there.
Yeah. Humbling experiences are good for you. And one of them is learning. The other one was like, so it was probably, let's see, like 4 or 5 years ago, I first started going to like to CrossFit for working out. And I walked into this gym and I'm not exaggerating, all of the girls in that gym were stronger than me with like with like Olympic lifts and things because these are all movements I've never done. Like I didn't know what a
Yeah.
clean was. I didn't know what a snatch was. I didn't know what any of these things were. And all these like moms are just jacked and stronger than me. And when like you accept that and be like, I'm gonna go and learn this really difficult movement with just the bar, and you leave your ego at the door when you know
Mhm.
everyone in the class is stronger than you. And so like,
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like physically you need that humbling experience and then mentally learning is that. And you just have to accept that it's a very long road to learn things.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
some
no,
things I'm just really slow at learning. And like when I read a technical book, I have to read it multiple times.
yeah. No, I'm the same way. I have to like read a chapter and then go back and read the same chapter again. And like,
Hmm.
like I'll
Yeah.
go to the next chapter. but that's actually advice that like my friend gave me, John Forsyth. He gave me the advice to do that. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not the only one who needs to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, like I'll always say, like when I read a technical book, I read it like it's a real book. Like I don't follow along with examples. I read it so I kind of know what is happening
Okay.
in the book and what to expect. And then I go through it a second time, following along, coding along, doing that. And then
Oh,
it kind of becomes, then you know what's in that book. And when you need
yeah.
a specific piece of that book, we're like, how do I do that again? I need to do that on this project. Then it
Yeah.
becomes a reference. And then the cycle just continues. And then all my books become references, and you know what book has what in it, and you go and find it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no, I should do that. I really should, and it's good to be reading too. I'm like I should do more just reading.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think that's like my YouTube channel. What's funny is I enjoy making video tutorials, but I get very anxious and impatient watching video tutorials because I usually just want
Yeah.
to learn what I'm trying to learn, right? And
Yeah.
if you find a blog post or a book, you can just scan, read it, and find it and be done.
Okay.
So like,
Yeah.
but I'm good at teaching. I'm just really I can't learn the same way that I teach, which is kind of funny to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that that's and some people I just feel like, yeah, I like sometimes like for me I learn as I teach. So I like enjoy
That
teaching things
too.
and I learn it.
That
Like
too, because when you start having to break things down, you realize how little you actually understand it, and then you have
yeah.
to take a deeper dive into what you're trying to teach to fully
Yeah.
understand it. And then you have to remember how painful it was the very first time you first figured it out, so you can not dumb it down. I don't know a better word for it, but make it relatable to someone that isn't familiar with it at all. And
Yeah.
that's the hard part, that little connection.
Uh-huh. And then they ask you questions and then you realize that you don't know it.
Right.
I mentored one person while I was at the only job that I've really, been in the full job for. And yeah, that also was like, oh shoot, like I don't know that. And you're new and I should know more. And I'm like, oh, let me see. But
Well, it's funny because you always feel like, so I just recently went through an interview process back in December, and I hate the interview process. It's the worst. Like you feel
yeah,
dumb the whole time, like you feel like you're barely getting through it.
yeah,
So like but you always think the people interviewing you are smarter than you, right? And then like one of the companies that I was interviewing with, we were going through a coding project and I was teaching them, like, I didn't even know you could do this. And then that's when I realized, like, wait a second, these guys are just the
yeah,
same as me.
yeah. You're
And
like,
like I was teaching them
like act like you
about
want to go
like
somewhere else.
ectoschemas. Yeah. And I was like, what is going on here? But yeah. But then like the current company that I'm at, all those guys, like I'm convinced they're all way smarter than me. But like it also means like I'm learning something every single day, which
Yeah,
it's kind of hard sometimes because you want to be super smart all the time, but it's also kind of cool that there's still so much to learn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's good to stay in that. If you can stay in the growth mindset.
It's tiring though. Like I wish you
It's
could just
tiring.
know it all so I could just like take a nap, and then a nap sounds
Yeah.
great. Like, oh, I already know that. So I don't, if you can't share it, don't share it, but do you have a name for your app?
That's what we're needing to come up with. So
Uh-oh. All right.
I'm like, so if you have any good names, send them
All
my
the
way.
crocheters in the audience, help us out. I feel like you need to like go to a retirement home and find out what their crochet clubs are called because they always have really funny, corny names, and you should
Yeah,
pick
there we go.
one.
That's really true, huh?
You should pick
Like
one
that would
and
always
make it your app name.
or the other thing, there's a lot of young moms who are super into making those stuffed animals. Like
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of young crocheters. and they all have Instagram accounts, so I could just go look at all their
There you
Instagram
go.
accounts and see what
I
the names
feel like
are.
you need to find like a really like cutesy dorky name that aligns with something in the crochet community.
Yeah, I agree. I know, but now you have my ideas rolling. I'm like, yeah, maybe I will go look at all the names of the Instagram accounts I follow.
Yeah, because that's
Like,
just
just so
like
you know.
yeah, like I play in like a just like a co-ed intramural whatever you would like a volleyball league for like a month. It's like ending soon, but like all of our volleyball team names are just like everyone Googled it, funny volleyball names, and there's just lists of them out there, and so we all have just dorky names, but it's funny, it's entertaining.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to. I feel like my grandma was in a crochet club, and now I wish I remembered what it was.
Oh
But
yeah,
it was,
maybe you could do my app.
yeah, watch out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start crocheting.
It is really fun. It's really like just like stress relieving because it's just like you feel successful like you made this thing even though like it took you hours to make it. You feel like I created
Oh,
it.
I get it. I could probably just dive in, head first and become a crocheter. It's probably very relaxing.
I like sit on the couch with my sisters, like she's as they're like watching their kids, and I just, anyways, it's just really fun for me. It like gives my hands something to do. Like,
Perfect.
I go to church with it. I'm like, sorry guys, I don't. This is like helps me pay attention. Like,
That's funny. See, I feel like I couldn't pay attention if I was doing that.
yeah.
I'm just not like coordinated enough to like do something with my hands and pay attention.
I know. I think different people, are wired differently, but
Like I can do like mindless things. Like I have like I forget what they're called, but I have these like meditation ball things that I just you circle in your hands and you're not
oh
supposed
yeah.
to let them touch so they can't clank. And I'll sit there
Oh,
and do that. But
that's really nice. I had like, okay, my last job we had like someone had made a bunch of fidget toys, but they made them out of like the 3D printed thing. They were like super
oh,
noisy.
nice.
And like I would just like be around the room like everyone's stomping on their fidget toys. I can't think. Like
Oh yeah, that would be
they're
bad
so
if
much
they made
fun, but, like,
noise.
I don't know who needs to stop.
Like these are just like solid rock, like polished rock. So they're heavy. And then the goal is to not let them clank. So if they clank, you're not doing it well.
Yeah. I
But
like that. That's like a quiet fidget toy is what
yeah,
we needed. If
exactly.
you're gonna be around other people, pick a quiet one.
And like it's funny is like when I'm not writing code, like if I'm thinking through a problem, I'll do that with my hands and then it helps. I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah.
like it's a like maybe it's my rubber duck.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I do. I don't know. I feel like, do you have any advice for people listening, like that might be in similar circumstances to you that full time doesn't make sense, but like you also you enjoy programming, you don't want to just give up on a career in programming? I feel like it's probably more common than we think it is because I think it's harder, especially from like a male perspective. Like most, like, it's my full time thing. I don't really have to think about anything else. But there's a lot of like alternative life happenstances that happen to a lot of people. And yeah, any
Yeah.
advice for people that might be in your same shoes or similar, I
Yeah.
guess?
I mean, I don't know, because I will say I do think like I think biologically men and women were wired differently. Like, I really think we are. And
I
I
agree.
think I actually think we're built like I don't remember what I was reading, but I think like women even go through like little seasons where they're like better at working and then not, and like we just function differently. But I'll also say that my brother, he had to take some time off work because of his special needs little girl, and and it was really hard because like it's like this field. He's a software engineer, and it's like it's so taxing that to then have your daughter in and out of primary children's hospital for like 6 years, that like wasn't doable, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, I think like for him, like he really had to rely on family for a lot. But I do feel like if there was more like contract stuff open, like because that's the thing, I just don't even know what, like I'm still kind of learning like the market fit of like, I'm like, oh good, like someone reached out to me about another contract position, like great,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But like so I don't know, for I think I don't think most people have the situation I have where they can be like, on my LinkedIn I'm just gonna say that all I do is contract work and reach out to me if you have a contract job for me. Like
Yeah.
I don't think most people are in that situation where they can do that. But I don't know, I feel like I would need to talk to more contractors who
Yeah.
do
Do
it.
you
I
have
don't
a
know, maybe
website?
talk to, huh? I don't,
You
but
need
should
to,
I, is that a good idea?
yeah. Yeah.
Get a
Yeah.
website up?
Like you like, well, I feel like I've always I need to make one for me, right? But like I
Yeah.
have one for Elixir Mentor, and then I do have the domain for jacoblitzo.com, but I feel like it's a good place, like especially like if you're doing contract work under your name, it's a good landing
Yeah.
page slash resume. Like you can just have kind of an updated resume on a website.
Yeah, I should do that. I really should do that and just have, yeah, have a landing page. Yeah. Make it clear what I can do for people. Yeah.
Exactly. And ways to contact you and everything. Cause like I know like LinkedIn is a good way, but honestly, I hate LinkedIn. I hate all the cold messages that I get, and it's like
Yeah.
annoying. Like it's one of those things like I feel like I need to have, but don't want
Yeah.
to have. I feel that way about all social media, honestly. But
Yeah.
like
No,
I
I
used to
feel the same.
post so much personal stuff on social media, like all my fun adventures. Now I'll put it in a story so it's gone in 24 hours.
Oh
But
yeah.
like then like I don't know, since I started Elixir Mentor, it's only Elixir stuff now. So
Yeah.
anyone that used to enjoy my posts that aren't involved in programming, they probably hate my posts.
I mean, it's a great way to transform your personal account into like a business account. Is great to, you already
Yeah,
have some kind of a following. Like,
exactly, exactly.
worst that happens is
But
people unfollow you or mute you or whatever. So,
right, I'm sure I'm muted by so many people. Well, in the show notes, I have your LinkedIn link. Is there any other contact info you would want to share?
um, I think my LinkedIn link is a great place to start. I mean, people are welcome to follow my Instagram too if they want to, but I'm not sitting there posting Elixir stuff. So, like
Well,
you
yeah,
are.
better start. I know we talked
Yeah,
about this,
right.
that I want you to start a YouTube
Yeah.
channel, but
Yeah, I think LinkedIn's a great place to contact. And also if there's anyone out there that has like advice on contract work, I'd love to hear it because I'm like new to it. I'm just like, oh, like this kind of works for me, and so we'll see where it goes. But I
no,
I, I want to hear how people have done it more successfully than me because I haven't gotten there yet. So
it's hard. It is hard. Like it's a weird, it's like you almost have to spend half your day promoting yourself in cold outreach. Like it's hard.
yeah,
But
yeah, no, that's probably true. Yeah,
like so like some advice, like since you want to do Elixir, right, is curate a list of Elixir companies
yeah,
and then find people. Like if it's a large company, find people in hiring. If it's a small company, reach directly out to the founder and just be top of mind, right? Reach out with either
yeah,
email or LinkedIn messages. And then if there is like a small feature that people are looking for, like short time employment, and a lot of like bootstrap
yeah,
startups sometimes just want contract because they don't want the overhead of a salaried employee. So find a small bootstrapped startup and just start curating a list of companies to reach out to.
yeah. That is probably true. That one company that thought about keeping me on as like a long-term contractor, and then they realized that I was like a little bit more like a little too flexible for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say that like that you're right. They were like a bootstrapped startup who that's kind of, they were like, yeah, this is great if you want to stay on as a contractor, but they probably would have wanted more hours from me. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that fit out there. You'll
But then
find
again,
it.
it's like right now, yeah, right. Yeah. So true. Anyways, we don't have to talk about me, but I will say that like right now I can do like little sprints and then take a break and then another little sprint and then take a break. If anyone's listening and is like, oh, should we? That's kind of what I feel like I can do.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I think that's amazing. Yeah. So Kimberly's LinkedIn link is in the show notes. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we did this because I feel like it's a conversation that, I don't know. I think us developers like to ignore the problems of overworking ourselves, but
I'm like, I had to face it. I wasn't getting pregnant.
Yeah. You had no choice. Well, like, and I know, I have a buddy that does remote or does contract work and everything, and he has kids, and like a lot of his capacity is like almost full-time taking care of his children, but like his solution is when they're awake he is a dad, and then when they're asleep he works, but that's not healthy. So like where do you sleep? Like not much. Yeah, so
oh my gosh, that's so hard. Yeah,
you gotta be you gotta listen to your body and stay healthy, guys, but it's tough. It can be tough for sure. But all right, everyone who has tuned in, thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. And Kimberly, thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, see you guys. Testing.